Hey everyone, Ashley May and Mike Beer here with the Daily Racing Form, taking a look at some races this weekend out at Laurel Park. And before we dive into the Barbara Fritchie here, just a reminder, it's a long holiday weekend, 3 days to get involved in racing. And with that, we do have a promo here at DRF in the shop. President's Day sales, 15% off. Use the coupon there, PRES25. And mentioned Barbara Fritchie is going to be one of the races that we'll look at, Mike, and not necessarily a big field. You're going to get 6 fillies and mares here to square off at the 7 furlong distance, but some interesting types. You're seeing Aussie Girl change from the turf to the dirt for the first time in her career. St. Benedict's Prepped has been very strong, and then Irish Maxima, Royal Spa towards the outside. They have some talent with them.
Yeah, I guess it's competitive enough, even though it didn't get a big field here. Aussie Girl's obviously a wild card down inside. We'll see if she handles dirt. 3 of those horses drawn more towards the outside, though. I think you could make reasonable cases for any of them.
We'll take a look at the Time Form US pace projections here for the Barbara Fritchie, and it says it favors front runners in here. And when we look at this group, Irish Maxima, there's one thing that's for certain: she really does want to be forward from the gate.
Feels like that's probably her advantage in here, is that not only is she competitive anyway with her good race, but she could easily make her way to the early lead here and be double tough. I think you're going to get more speed out of St. Benedict's Prep this time. Then she was able to show. They shipped her here 2 starts back for the What a Summer, and that pace was just a little too fast for her. Going 7 in a race where they're not blazing up front, she's going to be part of this pace, I think.
And if these 2 fillies and mares do hook up early, look out for the 6 Royal Spa. She does have the LP, the late pace flag, attached to her. She's been rolling late in her last 3 specifically, but just hasn't gotten the help that she needs pace-wise. But we'll kick it off here with the rail runner, a 5-year-old mare by the name of Aussie Girl, who she's a wild card. She's switching to dirt. Her pedigree, I don't know what you thought about it. It looks like turf. It's been that way to this point in her career. And she picked up a nice win 2 back, but last time out, the grade 1 matriarch, just too deep of waters for her.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she's not bred to be a dirt horse. So, who knows if she's going to handle this. I can't really argue with them trying it, particularly in a race like this one, because I think it's pretty clear that if she can transfer her form over to dirt, this is a race where she can be really competitive. I don't fully trust her to do it, but I think there are some things that make her interested in here. Not the kind of horse that I really want to bet. And it's not like she can get lost in the shuffle here. Actually, it's not a big field, and she's got figures that will draw some money.
The number 2, I Am a Cutie Pie. This is one that was able to win last time out. It was decisively at Laurel, but it's all the way back in mid-December. And maybe even more importantly, $30,000 level. And I do think maybe from a figure standpoint alone, Mike, she would really need to step up to beat some of the fillies and mares that we're going to get to in a couple of moments.
It does seem like she's improved since the trainer change at the end of last year. But if they run her here, they're just taking a shot pretty clearly. She's also entered in a allowance optional claimer on Friday's card, and they should probably run her there.
Look at the number 3, St. Benedict's Prep. And in terms of her last race, that was at Aqueduct. It was going 7 ace. And as we go back to that race, she was the pace setter in here. I mentioned maybe she went a little bit too quick early, and she's just going to be second best. But I kind of think looking at her efforts at 7 ace, this is a distance that she's quite strong at. And sure, she gets defeated here, but she gets a 90 buyer. This effort in the 1-3 back, there's lots to like about them.
Yeah, she likes this distance. That's probably one of the things to like about her in this race. Overall, I'm not sure that she's that good, Ashley. She obviously fits really well here with her top race. I mean, just going that race right there, she has to prove that she's a stakes horse. And so far, she hasn't really been able to do that. And I think that Interborough right there is a pretty good, it's an indictment of her, in my opinion, anyway. That wasn't a strong field. That pace wasn't fast. She was loose on the lead, and she just got run down, I thought, with no excuse last time. I thought she ran okay 2 starts back when they shipped her here. But that pace was just a little bit too fast for her, and she came running, but it was way too late.
A couple of runners are going to come in from Parks. One of them is the number 4, Mary Q, who it's kind of interesting to watch her progression, especially in those last 2. She has taken a huge step forward. Those have been at the 6.5 furlong distance. I do feel like 7 ace is not going to be the issue for her. But as we talked about other horses in here, I think on figures alone, she needs to take a step forward. But maybe she gets the right trip, Mike, where she is stalking the pace.
Yeah, I think I can see that happening. In other words, it's hard to make her good enough to beat a field like this. I mean, she's 5 years old now. She's run 17 times. I don't know how much upside you can really project. And her best race to date is going to get her nothing against this field.
The 5 Irish Maxima, we'll take a look at her most recent performance, a career best by far, not just in terms of her margin of victory, but she gets a 101 for this effort. She was much the best throughout. She got that sizable lead early, and look at the fractions over a muddy track. Sometimes we see these sorts of surfaces to be a little tiring, but she kept on going.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a dominant performance here with a really fast figure. I would just listen. She's been good anyway, so it's not like this race came out of nowhere. I would just suggest that since you have, if you have your formulator PPs, you can go back through that card at Parks the entire day. It was all speed, and it was a bunch of big blowout wins. She's not the only one who ran a race like that. I think speed was really carrying horses that day, and that will often lead to the big margins and the big figures. So, maybe take that race with a little grain of salt. That being said, it's not like she's competitive or not competitive with all of her other races. I mean, she's just a good horse, and she's going to be really tough in here.
Especially two back when she was even defeated. She lost by a length to a next step winner, Benedetta, who's been very nice, a really talented sprinter to this point in her career. Then rounding out the field, Mike's the 6 Royal Spa, who I think in terms of resume, I mean, she's been in some of the more stacked fields compared to the others. Now, is she getting her photo taken? No, but you have to think this is some class relief and some respect for her. And then the question, though, is does she get the pace setup that she needs?
Yeah, I was gonna. You already answered the question, I guess, but I was gonna ask you that. I mean, she's 0 for 10 in stakes races so far in her career, but hasn't she just been running against way better horses than this? I mean, right along against horses like Vava and Alva Star, Spirit Wind, Too Sharp. I mean, horses like any one of those horses would be a pretty big favorite in this field, and she just can't quite go with them. I mean, I've kind of been waiting for a breakthrough performance for her, and she hasn't delivered it. So, maybe she's just at a point where she's not going to do it at this point. But I don't know. I still feel like she fits pretty well in this race, and she might actually be a fair price.
And she tracks Sheldon Russell here for the Barbara Fritchie. That's the field of 6. Top pick time here. I was torn between 2 horses, and we flip-flop with these 2. I think it's Irish Maxima or Royal Spa. And Mike, I think out of the 2, Royal Spa certainly will be the better price.
She's just going to be a better price. It's not going to be easy for her to win here because the pace projector doesn't bode well for her either. But I just feel like she's going to be enough value to take a shot with in here. I think it's a good spot for her. Irish Maxima, I think she's the horse to beat. But I do think she's going to get overbet off that most recent start. And that's one that you want to be a little bit leery of.
And we'll both go a little bit against St. Benedict's Prep, at least for the top 2 spots, as she has to prove herself against stakes competition. 6-5-3-1 for Mike. It's 5-6-3 for me. The Barbara Fritchie race 6 on Saturday at Laurel kicks off the late pick 4. Good luck.